What up, guys? Thanks for checking out the video. Congratulations, Newton Brown, for winning the 600 UC this week. If you haven't won, or if you have won, doesn't matter. My next video, you can comment on that one to win the next giveaway for 600 UC. I do that every single week. So some people will comment, and then they won't comment on the next one. So got to keep up, got to keep commenting on like the video that I tell you in the beginning to comment on. I usually use something in the thumbnail to let you guys know, like giveaway or something like that. But yeah, you got to turn your notifications on and comment on the right video, or else you won't get added, and that sucks. But anyway, this video is about repositioning and flanking and like tactics. Gun skills are great. I practice gun skills a lot, and you know, it's really good being able to outshoot people, but it's even better if you can outmaneuver people and you can be in areas where they least expect it, and you just get basically free kills like this guy. This was actually solo versus squads, and I took out 3 of his teammates, and this is the last guy. And so he knows I'm here, and I've been like just completely outmaneuvering these guys the entire game. And they don't suck. They're a decent team, but they just don't really understand what I'm doing to them. And so he's up on the roof, he's looking around, he's all skinned out in his like dinosaur outfit, and now he's dead. If you can reposition on people and they don't know about it, you can get basically free kills. And so you can call it flanking, you can call it rotating, encircling. I don't really know, whatever your definitions are. It doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, if you can make the enemy think you're in one place, and he's going to use cover to keep between you and him, and then if you can rotate around and get on the side of that cover or even behind that cover, he will simply be standing there looking at where you last were, and you can just get easy free shots on him and not take any damage. This is especially important if you're playing like squads or duos and you're by yourself and you have to get more than one enemy at a time without having all 4 guys try to shoot at you at one time. You have to always pop up in a location they're not expecting. So you can pop up, get that knock, get that thirst, reposition, and do it again. And a lot of times you can wipe an entire squad and never even get shot. It takes a little bit longer. It's not as exciting as the YouTube videos that you'll see of dudes rushing in a house and killing 3 people at one time. A lot of that crap is on low tier anyway. These tactics work up into ace, conquer. It doesn't really matter. It definitely gets harder to do like everything else would, but these are real tactics. Rule number 1 of this is you can't do what I did just now. You can't let the enemy know that you're repositioning on them. I jumped in my buggy. He heard me. He realized what I was doing. He came up to try to assess the situation, decided it was kind of risky to try to jump out and fight, so he drove off. I missed my opportunity. I should have flanked him on foot. You live and you learn. So rule number 1 is you have to do it undetected. You can't let them know that you're rotating or that you're repositioning. You can use smoke to do this. You can simply use cover to do this. My favorite is to use ridge lines, because ridge lines allow you to run right at a certain level where you can keep an eye on the enemy, but they can't see you if you're in TPP, obviously. And that allows you to kind of keep an eye on them. But at the same time, you got to follow rule number 2, which is you don't want to get third-partied while you're doing this. A lot of times you'll take shots and then decide to rotate and flank the guy. So other parties will, other teams will hear those initial shots. They'll move in, they'll be watching the area. And if you're the one that's running to do a flank and you're kind of out in the open, you're going to probably be the first person that they see, because everybody else is behind cover hiding. So there's definitely a risk of getting third-partied when you're doing this. So you don't want to get hyper-focused looking at the enemy that you're trying to flank. You want to pay attention to your surroundings, and you want to be ready for other people to move in. But it's still worth the risk most of the time. And if you can use hard cover to use your rotation, definitely do that. Stick to cover as you're rotating around. The other thing that you have to do is you have to pay attention to, in case the enemy suspects that you're flanking and he decides to flank you, and you can't keep an eye on him, like you don't have a view of him, so you don't know what he's doing, and he decides to cut you off, you want to be ready for that. So have your crosshairs like up in a position of where he might pop out at. That way, if he does, you'll have a good reaction time and you may be able to take him out. This is a scenario where I use a vehicle to rotate around. I cut all of it out, but I jumped in a vehicle and I drove all the way around the map where they couldn't see me, and I got all the way behind this squad, who ends up fighting with another squad, and was able to get the kills on all these guys. These guys probably never suspect that, hey, that's that same dude that was up on the hill that we were shooting at. He disappeared, and then a minute later, he's behind us. Guys just do not expect that. Maybe when you get way up into upper levels, upper tier levels, not crown, definitely not crown, but maybe conquerors will start to suspect it. But still, it's a technique that works really, really good. You can surprise anybody no matter how good they are. And this just works so much better than being overly aggressive and just rushing in at people, especially if you're outnumbered. It's great to think that we're just better than everybody and we can just beat everybody in their face with gun skills. But there's a lot of great players in this game, and sometimes you have to admit, hey, that guy's just better. He can shoot better than me. Or maybe he has a better gun, right? Maybe he's got an AWM and you have an M4, and he's got an 8x scope. Like, it's stupid to try to peek that battle. It's way better to flank around and try to catch him off guard. So once you start doing this, you start realizing that people just don't expect it. These guys I actually flanked based on sound. I heard them shooting down there, and I flanked around and positioned on what I figured would be the side of them. So, like I said, you can begin to use these circular rotations without even seeing people. You can do it just on where you suspect people are. And you have to understand, they are going to be looking at the last place that they heard gunfire. So if you can quickly whip around and get on the side of them or even behind them, you will completely catch them off guard. I literally wiped an entire squad here. I've got 5 kills, and now I've got 9 kills. An entire squad, and I took 0 damage. Now, yeah, I kind of got lucky, but I put myself in the position to be lucky. And that's the whole thing. If you can put yourself in good position, man, you can get such easy kills. That your games will just begin to get a lot easier. And it's all about because you're catching people off guard. You can see this guy. Because I'm aware of flanking people, I'm always looking out for it. And I rarely get flanked. This guy tries to flank me, and I actually outflank him. I go around, but I went and got better position. And look at his reaction time. He's still in his mind thinking I'm up where I was. He should have been aware that maybe I'm going to cut him off. These guys come up here to loot boxes. That they had killed some people up here, and he was coming up to loot boxes. And I knew his buddy was down in Villa, but I didn't know exactly where at all. I didn't want to peek him at all because he had an Mini 14, and I didn't feel like getting in a peek battle with that. So I flank the entire area to look for him, and I don't have to look long. He's completely exposed because he's using cover to hide himself from where he last heard me. He's not expecting me to be down there. And if you get in a habit of doing this, you'll realize that guys can only cover one side of them. And if they think you're in a certain area, you have to understand that by default, there's going to be some portion of them totally exposed and totally out in the open. And if you just begin to try to get to that location where you have an angle on them being exposed, you can just get really easy kills. That's an example of I flanked a squad that was initially shooting at me, and then they started getting third party. And here's a guy that does it all wrong. He lets me see him cross the street. He pops up in an obvious spot. He should have went up around the back and got on top of that hill, and he would have killed me. Or even if I knocked him, he could have got behind that tree and I wouldn't have been able to thirst him, and his buddy could have maybe revived him. This is his buddy. Now I'm trying to stay out of a CQC situation because I am absolutely terrible close up. I'm horrible at it. So I just don't do it. I'll go literally all night playing 5 or 6 games in a row and never get into a CQC situation because I just don't go there. It's usually up to you of how to fight. I just flank around this guy and he's throwing a grenade at my previous location. So check it out, guys. Try and do it more in your games. It'll really, really improve your amount of kills and your survival rate. Hopefully these were some good examples and you could understand what I was doing. Like I said, the next video that comes out, you need to comment on so that you can be eligible for the next 600 UC giveaway. I do it every week. And then coming up in about a week or two, I've got a tournament that I'm going to do with 42 Gaming. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. 42 Gaming and Coffee, the streamer. They are going to play a duo tournament, and whoever kills them is going to win $100. Stay tuned for the next video. I'll go into more detail. But I hope this helped you guys. Good luck and thanks for watching.